cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is time for the monologue and Q&A, and we're kicking off this week post Independence Day. And folks, I think we are all seeing why we need to be fully prepared and why Independence Day is so damn important. Every time I read the Declaration, and I read it often, it reminds me of what we're up against and what we stand to lose. And we're losing it piece by piece. But not if we stay aware, not if we stay prepared, and not if we, folks, pledge our families, lives, fortune, fame, everything we got is going to have to be put on the table, ultimately to stay free. Now, to start this episode, I want to reintroduce our good buddy, Ron Foster. This is not his picture, but it is his book. Ron Foster, a friend of the show, wrote the Old Farts Survival Guide, sent me a copy, and it is a terrific manual, if you will. It can be a beginner's manual. It can be an experienced man's manual, reference, desk work, over 500 pages. And let me cover the topics, right? Because I think we are going to be in a survival mode coming soon, especially you folks up north. Let's see, mental, physical health, aging and survival, psychology of a disaster, cooking, creating fire, solar cooker, bug out boats, modern snares, bird catching, fishing, Faraday cage, tree transportation, still water, distilling seawater, Clorox, iodine, gardening problems, you name it. This is a great manual, and you can get Ron's work. You can get your copy of that at Amazon.com, right? Amazon Shopping Center. That's where his books are. And we're not promoting Amazon as much as we're wanting to promote Ron. So thank you again, Ron, for sending me the books. Sorry I missed it on the zoo. I was having a hell of a show as it was, just keeping my eyes open and my brain ticking in the right direction. But yeah, like I said, every week I want to talk about one of Ron's books. And excellent. That book, fabulous. Again, if you're an experienced survivalist, say you went and lived in the jungle for a while, you have a good idea. But even if you do, just those little tricks, there's always these little tricks that come with experience and practice. And that book covers a lot of them. Now let's move into the day's events. Shit hitting the fan. It is being driven, folks, like a railroad spike into the ground. They're just hammering away the left wing, the liberal world order. They're just hammering away, folks. Now, I was, I think, correct in taking my time and getting to the Highland Park shooter, because there's a lot more that's come out since just this morning. This person is a complete deranged lunatic. Now, when he first came out, right, it was a young white male with dark hair is who they're looking for. And then they just, the mainstream media and everyone on the left jumped up and down because there was a picture of this fruitcake with what appears to be a Trump flag tied around his neck like a cape. And they said, see, he's a Trump supporter. He's a Make America Great Again guy. See how evil the right wing is. You know, not quite. Not quite. There's a lot has come out about this guy. And You want to hear about it? I think you do, right? Uh, this person commits the crimes of murder, shooting people, right? Also called a sniper. I don't think so. Uh, Chicago News. This is not me. This is Chicago News says, um, and it's WGN out of Chicago. They have a picture of the shooter in drag attempting to evade the police. That's right. He's dressed as a woman. Now, I don't know if that makes him a drag queen mass murderer or a trans mass murderer, but it certainly isn't a Donald Trump supporting mass murderer. The left is driving this, folks, and it keeps turning out that their people, their true believers, their fruitcakes are the real problem here, right? And I don't think it's going to get better. I think these people are going to continue to crawl out from under the rocks and under the cow pies and just show up. I mean, they wanted to show this person looking as normal as possible. But pictures have come up of him dressed like Waldo. Well, that's fine. I understand costumes. But with pink hair pulled back in pigtails. Pink hair. Now, we're not supposed to judge on hair color or anything that, but it seems to me like this rather strange looking tattooed up, effeminate, apparent male who goes by Bobby, which is also a girl's name, left the scene of a crime dressed as a girl. At the very least, sounds like, right, a trans. Unbelievable. And we're supposed to just have sympathy for these people. How many drag queens lately have shown up in police reports as having child porn or being accused of pedophilia? Because that's what they're doing, folks. These wackos are not going to go away. They're not going to stop. Not a bit. I mean, this Highland Park shooter, his name, Bobby Crimo. He's got affiliations to socialist organizations, the largest one in America. He's a progressive, right? Antifa. He dresses in full Antifa, let's go assault the police gear. Right? He's just a member of everything that seems to be screwy and wrong, and even may have some affiliation, oddly, to the Ukrainian military. And that was Paul Craig Roberts, who was trying to draw a distinction between a tattoo he has and the Azov battalion, which is completely odd because they are fascists. All of this is wrong, folks. All of this is just absolutely wrong. And there's no way the mainstream media can continue. And the police who were aware of this guy ahead of time, they failed. I mean, in fact, we quit hearing about the Uvalde shooting, haven't we? Down in Texas, completely silent on that because the police department totally botched that one. Totally. And now it's looking like the police were involved with this clown, maybe other law enforcement as well. You see, it's people like you that go out and dig and find and do research, and then you come to this network, the Prepared Mind Network. And there's other networks too. You do that, and then we spread the word about these lunatics, and we take their lies from their lips and show them to be lies. And then they have to change their story. They have to take the story and go away. And that is part of the fight we have. Unbelievable, folks. Just, it's unbelievable. I thought, they were going to get some more traction out of this. Apparently not. I mean, Governor Prickster, he's basically a complete and total moron. But he's going to push for more gun control. That didn't seem to solve it in the gun-free zone where this crime was committed. But we also had the shooting in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Well, the mayor there has come out. And he wants to drive this anti-constitutional, anti-Second Amendment, anti-freedom mentality. He actually blames the Supreme Court for the 2 cops that were shot in Philadelphia. This is how he describes it. Quote, "It was a laid-back, chill day. Weather was beautiful, concert was beautiful, but we live in America and we have the Second Amendment and we have the Supreme Court telling everybody they can carry a gun wherever they want." Yeah, folks, he's that stupid. It wasn't a concealed carry permit holder that shot the police. It was a criminal. To say that the Supreme Court is responsible for that would be the same as the Supreme Court saying we can drive down all the highways. And so a criminal could steal a car and drive as fast as he can, breaking all the laws, crashing into people, and then blaming the Supreme Court for what the criminal did with our highway system. That's how stupid these people are, folks. It is, under Democrats, an idiocracy. And for someone with an IQ, anyone with an IQ above 80, this hurts us. Listening to the most asinine stupidity on the planet. And I want to thank Mr. Skylight for getting me this information. And I have to do a little correction. I said Australia earlier today. It's Austria. In Austria, the finger pointing has begun over Jim Jones juice and who has been injured and killed, right? Doctors are being blamed for those who have been injured by the Jim Jones juice. In Austria, yeah, the doctors are getting pointed at, folks, right? Isn't that incredible? The politicians mandate, corporations demand, and then they go to the doctor, and the doctors can't work in hospitals unless you get the Jim Jones juice, right? They can't deny, folks, all of the death around this. And this is also, it's a death cult by the left, and they're driving it, and it is going to exacerbate SHTF. It's going to get worse, folks. It is. They're discovering how dangerous the Jim Jones juice is. It's not benign. It's not neutral. It's not harmless, right? It's crazy. Now, in New Zealand, right, there's a huge mortality issue, death issue, right? So their solution is to push more Jim Jones juice. And same with Canada. Canada, right? The Minister of Health or whatever the hell this guy is. He came out today and says, you're never going to be fully juicinated. You have to always go get more. Every 9 months at least, you have to stay current. Well, back to Australia. Australia, not Austria, but Australia has said, shit didn't work. We're giving up on the mandates. It's like, how can you mandate something that doesn't work as if it does, threaten everyone, shut down businesses, affect everyone negatively, their health, and then go, yeah, never mind, it's cool. They're that fucking crazy on the liberal left, folks. What, are they going to show up at your door? Yeah, who is it? Oh, time for your Jim Jones juice. Come on out. We're going to stick you. It's like, no, thanks. Then we're going to come in and do it. No, you won't. It is time for this to stop. But it won't stop, folks. Let me give you another prime example. Oh, by the way, get your questions into Jolene. You've got the second half of the show. We'll do the Q&A post Independence Day. But I've got some more things I want to talk about. But whether your topic is, well, fireworks or the Second Amendment, fireworks or food, we got all kinds of topics. You get to choose, though. You get to pick at the second half of the show. Right now, I want to talk about more of this left-driven stupidity. Ukraine, well, rather, Voldemort Zelensky says that Ukraine needs $750 billion to rebuild. They need $750 billion to rebuild. Oh, by the way, they want to use the seized Russian assets to help pay for some of that. Now, I said, wait, they need to rebuild Ukraine now? So a peace treaty was signed? The fighting is stopped? No. We were told by President Biden that we're going to continue this fight as long as it takes. So the fighting's not done. So why would we go rebuild something that's not done being fought over? And even bigger than that is that the war has been fought in the now liberated eastern Ukraine, which is no longer a part of Ukraine. So Ukraine has no need for money to fix something that doesn't belong to it. I mean, it's like looking at your neighbor's house. It just burned down, and you go to the government and say, yeah, I'm going to need a couple $100,000 to rebuild because my neighbor's house burned down. It's ridiculous. But Voldemort, folks, he has this to say. It's in his lies to the world about funding the reconstruction of Ukraine that is, quote, common task of the entire democratic world, all countries who can say they are civilized, as if not giving them $750 billion makes any nation scum, right? Common task. It's our common task to give him money. And he's allowed to say such stupid things. I just can't get over how stupid they must think we are, folks. It's incredible. It is. This one frosted my cake. Are you prepared for this one, right? If you and I didn't pay our taxes, the government would be all over us like white on rice. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. But if the U.S. government wants to, well, not pay people, it's just fine. I heard nothing last year but people complain that they weren't getting their tax returns back. Everyone had to pay, but they weren't getting their tax returns back. The government has continued to take our money and then squander our resources. The U.S., folks, is continuing to export record levels of our oil out of the strategic oil reserves. And he's doing this despite the record high gas prices. Now, why are we expecting this energy that let me rephrase that. Why are we exporting this oil, this energy that belongs to the people of America? Why does the government get to export it? How do we, the people, benefit from this loss of our energy and oil at a time when we have record high prices and shortages and our production is being curtailed by the government? And who is benefiting from this oil export coming out of our strategic reserves? Well, I believe it's China. That's one of the reports I read, is they're sending this oil to China. Why? China's already getting cheap oil from Russia. China's been setting up deals with Iran and Saudi Arabia and who knows who else. It is criminal what is happening because it's not being discussed in the public. The mainstream media is not touching this with a 10-foot pole, except to say, yeah, prices are high, too bad. Yeah, prices are high. The president says it's our duty to pay these prices. This is going to end ugly and bad. And history is going to take full note of the Democrats and the party. And I think we, the people, should take full note of everyone who ever claimed to be a Democrat, because they voted for this. And I know a lot of Democrats now are saying, you know what, this is bullshit. I can't believe it. Joe needs to stop this, not liking it. That's right, folks. A majority of Democrats do not approve of this. But I say, you did this. I didn't mean to crash my car, but I still have to pay for it. You crashed the country by electing this fool. Unbelievable. It really is, folks. It's unbelievable. Okay, now we keep hearing just a ton of lies about Russia losing its ass, right? Russia getting its ass kicked, right? And on Independence Day and all weekend, I was hearing from Democrats in the media how they hate this day. They hate our Declaration, the Constitution. They hate America, right? Folks, the Democrats are the enemies of us, America. They are. Now, I'm not recommending you do anything unlawful or illegal or harmful or destructive or any of that. But we need to know who the enemies of this country are, right? You know, the Democrats hate everything, but then they turn around and tell us Russia's the bad guy. And we're supposed to support and believe the Democrats that hate our country. Well, when it comes to Ukraine and Russia now, we're supposed to just give them full credibility. Whatever they say about world affairs, they must be telling the truth. Right? It's nonsense, folks. Nothing they're doing is benefiting us. Everything they're doing is tearing down this country. Right? They're driving this SHTF, driving it, folks. Everything they're doing is absolutely evil here and around the world. That's why I can't believe how many Republicans actually think Ukraine are the good guys. Now, I'm not saying Putin's the good guy. I'm just saying Ukraine is far from it. We have so much wrong in this world. Now, having said that, Russia is telling the West, hasta la vista, right? They're forming more permanent economic and military alliances with the rest of the BRICS nation, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, being joined by Saudi Arabia and other nations. It would be great if you and I could say, you know what? We're going to take our ball and leave too. We don't want to play with the US dollar. We're just going to leave. Sadly, we're stuck in this. And I always thought that Armageddon would be somewhere else, and that the United States of America would hold itself together and fight on the side of good. It looks like, folks, Armageddon is going to be right here in this country. It looks like Russia is stepping out of it, and China, and saying, you guys in the West, Europe and America, you can fold. You're done. It's really an incredible phenomenon to watch. The left-driven SHTF is just mind-numbing. Mind-numbing. And speaking of Armageddon, how about Airmageddon? This 4th of July weekend, folks, people want to travel, go places, take a little vacation. 10,000 flights were delayed. More than 10,000 delayed. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds canceled. Thank you, federal government. Thank you, Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg. Thank you, Joe Biden. Why are they delayed or canceled? Because they don't have the pilots and they don't have the crews. I've noticed when I go outside, I used to see a lot more aircraft. Not so much anymore. I mean, they're still there. They're still there, but not in the numbers there used to be. And I live near a place where people want to go get away, get out, go fishing. Right? Anyways, it's unbelievable where they're taking this. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? You better. I really recommend you better, folks. Right? I think we've got some huge, huge issues when the federal government won't enforce the law, when the federal government looks at you and me as if we're the terrorists. when we have the terrorists who have stated they're going to burn it all down, literally threatening to murder Supreme Court judges, right? The Supreme Court marshal went and told Maryland, crack down on the protesters. Get these protesters out of here. They're violating the law, and they're not doing it. Remember, folks, the government is charged with keeping the peace, not necessarily protecting you as an individual, but they're charged with keeping the peace. And if they fail, I guess we're going to have to step up and do it ourselves. It's a very scary time, folks. It really is. And they're not giving up on cerveza bug. Sad to say. They're going to keep pushing this. Well, Canada's pushing it. Australia, they're giving up on the Jim Jones juice. But China's back at it. They're shutting down another city with a population of 13 million, folks. 13 million. That's like New York City. 13 million people are now locked down because there are 18 cerveza bug cases, not 18 deaths, not 18 precincts, not 18 hospitals overwhelmed, 18 total cases. That's 18 people with the cerveza bug flu. And they're shutting down an entire city again. Is that the world you want to live in? It's not the world I want to live in. Right? Not good at all. How much industry is going to be shut down because of that? Right? How much more is that going to affect supply lines? Right? These people continue to shut everything down. Now, as I got this story, there was a correction or an addendum that came to it shortly thereafter. In Norway, they decided they're going to go on strike and cut off the natural gas supplies to the United Kingdom, England. Well, here's the quote. The strike has begun. That came from Odin Ingvartsen, right, the leader of Norway's oil workers union. Well, unions have their part to play in this too, I guess. But this is such an important thing, right? Yeah, energy. Well, the president, if you will, of Norway interceded and solved the problem instantly because they can't take another hit. But they're going to keep trying, folks. These crazy, radical, globalist scum are going to keep trying. And certain politicians will oppose it. Apparently, the leader of Norway was like, we can't take a chance. We have to. What they're doing right now, folks, is they're sending gas to Europe. And they're supposed to fill their tanks, their reserve tanks. Right? They're already not well. And we're getting close to winter. And there's nothing but trouble brewing. Are you prepared? Not just for today, but are you prepared for this coming winter? Right? Do you have the proper clothing? You have the proper food. Medicine is just critical, having the proper medicine. Because you may not get cerveza bug, but you may get a standard cold or standard flu, and you don't want that to take you down all the way. Right? Not a good thing. Whew. What a day. What a big start after an Independence Day. I had a pretty good time. I went topside, sat in a chair and watched fireworks that the neighbors set off. There were so many of them in the surrounding areas that a smoke kind of drifted through like a fog on the ground. There was that much fireworks. It sounded like a battle zone. It really did. There were big concussions, snaps, cracks. I could have swore a few gunshots went off, and they very well may have been. But it was an impressive 4th of July. I don't know if people are going to have that kind of money next year for fireworks, but it was kind of nice to see that they still wanted to celebrate our Independence Day. And now we're going to step into the Q&A. It is your turn, so get your questions in to Jolene. Do it now. Your questions, comments, everything else. And folks, I want to thank you for coming to Subscribestar and joining us live. The $2 a month it costs to join Subscribestar. Right? 7 cents a day. It makes sure we keep coming back and bringing you more information, more opinion. And we like, as always, I like to look at things a little differently, right? The mainstream media now is just gone. Don't even rely on them to get the news. You got to like come certain places and get your satire and news, and then look at things a little differently, because we are being lied to, and we're being manipulated by the left, by the socialists, by the globalists. And it's funny, the more we know, the easier it is to pick apart all the lies of the left. All right, let's get to your questions.
Are you ready?
All right, we got Jolene, and there we are. We got Jolene, and we also in the green room have Uman and Christine Bihana. They will not be coming on screen. They're not prepared for that, but he's there with his big blue wrench and moderating. They had quite a prepper meetup this week, and I want to thank him and everyone who joined that and had some fun with it. Okay, Jolene, I didn't mean to mess that up, but we got Mark, the prepared Klingon, and he says, Independence Day, what was the shooting about? What shooting are we talking about? Are we talking about the fruit cake? I don't even know what to call them, right? The trans, the drag queen, I don't know. I mean, then there's the Philly shooting. I don't know what that one was about. But I do know that in Chicago, there was, I think, 60 people. Was it 60 people shot this weekend and killed in Chicago? Right? It's too much, you know. They're going to claim that this one shooter in Highland Park, Bobby Cremo, right? He's so bad that we have to worry about what he's done, but let's not worry about all the people in the hood in Chicago that get shot, stabbed, run down. Unbelievable. What's all the shooting about? I really think that the political left are encouraging and inciting this kind of behavior in their youths. They're all broken. I mean, I've taken a lot of psychology, and I can't justify what they're doing, but I can certainly see how the little machines in their head turn, because they're not educated. They're preached at in school. They're not being educated. They're being indoctrinated. They're being told to hate America. They're being told to hate themselves. They're being told that who they are, they should reject. Right? And then they're being told to hate America more and more and more. Is it any wonder that after seeing for years and years now, radical leftists creating havoc and violence everywhere, and the FBI, state police, local police, just ignoring them, allowing them to get away with it? In fact, the police, if they arrest the left at all, just release them. And when they arrest the right-wing groups like, I don't know, Proud Boys, right? The Oath Keepers, throw them in jail in DC and leave them there to rot. They're like, hey, we can do whatever the fuck we want. And so they do. The shooting is about to get off the hook. Now, once again, do these people dare to come after us directly? Or are they going to continue to be chicken shit shooters that go after schools and shopping malls and parades? You know, kind of like that scumbag in Waukesha who took his assault vehicle and ran into a parade and killed old women and children, was not charged with a hate crime. We were told not to judge him. Oh no, that he wasn't a problem. Well, he's a huge problem, folks. But they're basically being shown you can do what you want and get away with it. This idiot right? This absolute abject idiot, Bobby Crimo, has been planning, according to the social media pages. He's been planning on doing this. And he did it. Now, am I suggesting they should have gone and arrested him? Well, did he commit a crime? I'm sure he committed a few crimes. I'm sure he said and did some things that were against the law that he could have been arrested for. I don't know. I believe like where did he get the rifle he had? Did he legally obtain it? You know, stuff like that. All right, let's move on if we shall. Yeah, what's all the shooting about? Well, the left shoots because they hate America. Okay. Fourth Dimension has a legitimate question. Oh my gosh. And Fourth Dimension is Kaz at the Fourth Dimension channel, and his questions are always legit. He says, Biden and the powers that be have weakened this country in every facet since day one. Energy, borders, defense, logistics, food security, banking, etc. Is there any way this isn't on purpose? I tell you what, Kaz, if it was just one thing, I could say, you know, that's just a mistake in policy. But you're absolutely correct, right? You left out, well, you said defense. I was thinking border defense. Everything is done, and it's having the exact opposite effect that you and I would want to see. We would want to see energy prices stable, if not becoming more affordable, because standard of living, that is, how comfortable are you? How happy are you? How profitable are you at the end of the month, right? How prosperous is America depends on how inexpensive our energy is. So the more we pay in energy, the less we have to live on. He's cut our energy saying, yeah, we don't need it now. Just that alone, would we say he's trying to destroy America? Well, that does an awful lot, but we could forgive that. But also the border, he's inviting in illegals that we all have to pay for because they're not productive. They're not paying taxes. They're costing us. They're taking advantage of our social services and our medical system, a medical system that was shut down 2 years ago and we were denied. Defense, the military. We need a stronger defense. What are they doing? Making sure anyone who wants to enlist can, and make sure they get all the fishnet stockings, high heel shoes, lipstick, and sex change operations literally that they want. Food security. I mean, this issue over food processing and production plants is continuing to be something that is just there. We continue to hear about more and more problems, and it's not just America, it's international. And it's not that any one place is going to cause a shortage, but the cumulative effect, right? The supply chain interruption. We got nothing but problems, folks. Food security, farming, we need fertilizer. Fertilizer, where's it come from? A big portion of it from Russia, right? There are American companies that have stepped up their production, but guess what? Right, they're having problems because of our infrastructure. Right, we got banking issues, monetary issues. It can't be anything but done on purpose. It has to be. There's no other explanation that fits. And it's also obvious by the fact that so many Democrats can't support it. Over 80% of independents can't support it. And by independent, I think we could call them rhinos. Because independents, well, they want to pretend like they're above all the fray, but they're really a bunch of wishy-washies. Even the wishy-washies, 4 out of 5, do not support Biden. Right? They don't want to piss anyone off, but they can't support Biden. It's becoming painful, folks, to see all of these things that Kaz has laid out. Our legal system is trying to step up. The Supreme Court, it could be because they keep getting threatened in their homes on a nightly basis. Right? The bureaucracy needs to be curtailed. Federal bureaucracy. Federal power needs to be curtailed. It needs to be cut. The states need to take their rights and their power back. And as I stated earlier in the last video, states like Texas that have energy need to tell the federal government, we have an emergency. Declare a state of emergency for your people, governors. You were willing to do it, to lock people in their homes and put masks on their face. And then in some states like California, right? What did they do? They said, well, you're gonna forced to get the Jim Jones juicer. You can't come out. You can't do this. You can't do that. We're gonna take you, and you can't. You can't. All this control. We're gonna sick the Karens and the police on you. And they did, folks. They tackled people in stores. They arrested people for not wearing a filthy, germ-ridden piece of shit on their face. So why can't a good governor say, we got a state of emergency, we have the resources, we're going to get it? Federal government, you go ahead and stay up in DC. We're going to take care of our people and drill for energy. And that oil has other useful elements in it, folks. All the plastics we need, all the chemicals we need, all of the medications. There's a lot of regular, normal medical components that come out of oil. Not to mention what? Diesel, gasoline, asphalt for roads. We need that oil, folks. It's there. The people need some relief. It's there. Go get it. Tell the federal government it's an emergency. F off. That's what we really need to do. Seriously. Right? Seriously. And in addition to that, right, we need to tell everyone who isn't interested in helping their own people to screw off. In fact, right, Governor Newsom of California actually ran an ad in Florida. Unbelievable, telling Florida, it's the people of Florida, they should move to California, right? Unbelievable. You should move to California, right? Because he says DeSantis is burning books and destroying people's rights. What a crock of shit this guy is. Enough said by me on that, right? Governor DeSantis's administration told the news outlet, quote, Newsom might as well light a pile of cash on fire with the advertisements. Pass the popcorn for his desperate attempt to win back the California refugees who fled the hellhole he created in his state to come to Florida. Now, the entire country is getting California refugees, and most of them are the Republicans. Well, what's bad for the Republicans left in California is there's even fewer of them now. So my recommendation is to leave. At this state, right, it is a dumpster fire. California, sadly, one of the most beautiful places on the planet. Dumpster fire. And Governor Newsom thinks he can speak to the people of Florida. It'd be like him trying to speak to the people of Texas. And it appears that he's going to be running for president in 2024. He's really kind of pushing for that image, right? This is Nancy Pelosi's relative. What a piece of work. All right, let's see if we've got some more questions, and let me know where we're at with everything through the Signal Messenger, Jolene. Okay, we've got Carol says, thank you. Times are tough, and many of us are old and isolated and need to hear you. Thanks, truly. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I've got a little bomb I'm going to drop on you guys. And Jolene and I talked about, okay, I got you, Jolene. Good deal. I got a big one I'm going to drop. And then says she's going to drop a big one on me. Okay. I'm glad. We do need to hear this, folks. We need to hear from one another. Go ahead and leave their back up on there. We need to hear from one another. You say you're a little old and kind of isolated. Well, we need to hear from you guys also. You represent a huge percentage of true Americans, right, who lived through hard times. I'm not saying you lived through World War II, but maybe you know about Korea and the difficulty there. Certainly Vietnam and the hardships of the 70s, right? Your wisdom, your help, your experience is going to become very beneficial in the next coming months and then years as times get really hard. Now, a lot of us are isolated, though. A lot of us are isolated because friends and family, they just don't want to hear from us. And if we have an idea about prepping or politics, we want to talk to them, but we don't want to be laughed at or made fun of. So there's something that Jolie and I have been kicking around for a long time. And we both voted with thumbs up just the other morning. And that is to do a prepper coach. Now, later this week, I think we're going to have the grand opening of the preparedmind.club. And shortly after that, we're going to have prepper coach. There's going to be a page there. And what it involves is having a one-on-one discussion with me. Just me and just you, if you wish. The rules, the requirements, all that will be put on the club. But that's a big deal. The idea that I could be just inundated with people who want to talk because you feel isolated. You feel like you can't get an honest answer. You feel like you need someone else's experience, someone else to look at your situation, whether it's a food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, whatever your situation is, your self-defense plan, whether it has to do with investments. Maybe you just want to talk to me. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a legal counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm none of those things. All I can do is just talk with you and offer my opinions. And so it looks like we're going to do that. Anyways, we'll get all that set up here in the coming future. As stated, once Patreon kind of pissed us off, it kind of lit a fire under Jolene and I. We got the subscribe star right here now. Bam. Right? We got that set up fast. And then we're setting up the brand new preparedmind.club. And it is an awesome looking website. We need to get a link on there to Uman's R Syndicate. We got a couple other things that we need to have some fun with, but we're also going to have Prepper Coach with John. That's something we want to offer. And it's going to take a lot of my, shall we say, professional time, but I'm willing to do it. We're going to set that up, see how it goes, as well as we're going to be coming out with our Prepared Mind app. But that's also going to require the club to be finished. Okay, anyways, Carol, thank you very much. Truly, thank you for being here. And trust me, you're not alone. There's a lot of people like us, and that's why this channel is important, because you can come in here and you can comment in the chat section. The live chat is just amazing. Okay, let us move on if we've got another one. Okay, one moment here. This is from Lawrence. He says, a borrower is a servant to the lender. America is in record debt. We've lost more of our right than ever before through executive orders. Our government is not voluntary, but mandatory enforcement of its control over us through its military and police force. Yet people are talking about independence. This is why we're in the shitstorm we're in now, because everyone willingly lives in the matrix and pretends that they are free at the same time knowing they're not. It's insanity. I am going to agree with you but I'm going to refer back to the Declaration of Independence. And folks, I don't get a chance to preview these questions. This was like a big punch right to the jaw. Took me a split second, but I know where the answer is, and I'm going to get it for you. Okay. I am here in the Declaration of Independence, and I just have to find it here. Bear with me there, Chief Lawrence. Okay, here we are. It has to do with, here we are. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. And I think what is being conveyed there is we have a long established government. Well, in 1776, that was the British king, nobility, and they became accustomed to the shit he was dealing with, or that he was giving the colonists to deal with. And so it is very difficult at that point because, right, mankind are more disposed to suffer because evils are sufferable. But then he goes on to say, or the declaration, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, their duty to throw off such government. Now, that's the stage I think we are at. We have been suffering under a long train of abuses. If you would, Jolene, go ahead and let's put up the first statement. You had 3 of them there. Okay, a borrow is a servant to the lender. Yeah, America is in debt. And when you have a mortgage or a car loan or a credit card debt, you know that you owe them, right? Our government owes someone else because they're borrowing money from someone else. And so they're more of a servant to them, right? Anyways, government isn't voluntary. Government is now mandatory, compulsory. Next one from Lawrence, please. He's got a line in here I think is pretty important. The control over us is through the use of military and police force. Military, not really so much, but we do have a police force which has become militarized. You can see that compared to 1776, today we're very much under a similar type of military control with the police. Now, Sheriff's Department, not so much. State police, questionable, right? Because there's a use of the judiciary at the lower levels to control and intimidate and threaten and keep people in line. Now, I understand the proper use of government and law enforcement in order to maintain and keep the peace. But there's a big difference between that and keeping the people subdued through fear and making them pay through the nose for any infraction. Now, you touch on this. You say people are talking about independence. On Independence Day, that is our big day of reminder in the days and weeks coming up to it, Lawrence. Let's get to the third one, if we shall, here, Jolene. He said, this is why we're in the shitstorm, because everyone willingly lives in the matrix and pretends that they are free at the same time. Leave that up, if you will, Jolene. Mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves. Okay, once again, that line is very telling. Everyone is willingly living because they're willing to suffer some evil. They're pretending to be free. That is a true statement that you're making, knowing that they're not. We're not truly free, but the part that is not insanity, when you say it's insanity, there's one factor here that you're leaving out, and that is the fact that we know the recipe for freedom and liberty, and we have the tools for freedom and liberty. Now, it'd be one thing to say, I know how to build a house and not have any tools or any supplies. It'd be another thing to have tools and supplies and go, I don't know how to build a house. In this case, we, the Americans, we have the knowledge, we have history, we have training, we have our Second Amendment, we have our First Amendment, we have the entire Constitution. We have all the materials needed to knock down that dilapidated, rotten, fetid, stinky structure and rebuild a new one. That's what the Declaration of Independence tells us, right? To say that we are free is not quite accurate. We're supposed to be free. And when we, the people, realize that the amount of evil we're suffering is too much, then we have by right the authority to get rid of that government, which is reduced us under its total despotism. That's what they're in the process of doing right now. We have the ability, and we have the right, and we have the tools, and we have the talent. And so that is where I would tend to have some good, honest, fun debate with you. It is insanity, folks, if we suffered under evil and pretended we were free when we did not have the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, or our guns. But we have the guns. We have a lot more guns than the government. There's a lot more free people than there are people in the government. Government is small, very small. There's a lot of us, and we're very, very free-spirited, right? Pretending that we're free. I see your point. Knowing we can be free if it gets much worse, and that's why I say hang on to your hats, because I really think it is going to get much, much worse. Great topic, Lawrence. Thank you for bringing that up. I truly, truly believe that you had just an awesome, awesome idea to bring up there. What is independence? What is freedom if it's not exercised? I think right now we're discovering that. We're discovering that our freedoms are being limited. When they say there's limits to the First Amendment, and then you're canceled because you said something that today is forbidden, but 5 years ago should have been shouted from the rooftops. Unbelievable, right? And then we've got this. Here's an example, right? In Washington State, a school board director she's in some kind of trouble because she exposed 9-year-olds, kids as young as 9, to explicit sexual education classes. What the hell is it? That should be a crime, right? It's just that is acceptable now to these leftists, where me having free speech to criticize somebody is not, right? Our Second Amendment rights. These radical wacko leftists are killing people, but they're saying we, the honest, good people of America, shouldn't have guns to defend ourselves from those wackos. Unbelievable, right? They find rights in the Constitution that don't exist. And then they see things in the Constitution that do exist and they ignore them. You see that when you read the Declaration of Independence, you see all of that. And I think the Declaration really lays out everything we need to see as to where we're at in history. There are people now making claim that things are worse now than they were back in the 1770s, that we're suffering under more despotism now. Well, nobody felt it until they started this, let's shut off the energy. Let's screw with their food. Let's mess with them medically. Let's hurt their children in schools. Let's corrupt them absolutely and turn them into little sex toys by grooming them. That's what the left is doing. I think people are waking up to it real fast, real hard. Anyways, folks, thank you very much for attending. We'll be back tomorrow, as always, bright and early with more, Prepared Mind channel discussion, because between now and then, there's going to be some incredible SHTF events occurring. I hope you are prepared, at the very least mentally, but also food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Give me a few more days with Jolene. We're going to get the preparedmind.club, the new one, new and improved up. You will be able to surf much more easily through it, locate the items you need, and get them sent to you before they're not available anymore. I know that's coming, whether we're talking about solar power or ammunition or food or water filtration, whatever it is, comms, radio, just everything we've got there. It's going to be laid out so beautifully. You guys are awesome. I want to thank you. And chance favors the prepared mind is yours. God bless America. Semper Fi. And the Declaration of Independence is one of the most critical documents. Never lose it. Never forget it.